Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome to Life Simplified. I'm Amanda, your host for today. And if you've been following along, you've kind of noticed that we have the trend of fighting the freeze. That is our month-long theme. Today, we're going to be focusing on defrosting your energy, escaping the burnout cycle. So for today's episode, I'm going to talk about a lot of different kind of definitions, but one that I found that I thought kind of encompassed what we were talking about today came from Illinois Extension publication, and the definition of burnout: a state of mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion that results from experiencing chronic stress. And so they used a little thing to go along with it, and it said, feeling like a tire that is slowly losing air.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's a great analogy.
It is.
Yeah.
So, and also on the, because it's like slow losing air, and then you think as you go on, it loses more and more, sometimes a little bit faster. So we're going to talk about just burnout in general, and thinking about it can happen in all the different areas of your life. So a lot of time we focus on, work and the overload of that, but it could also encompass caretaking, romantic relationships, parenting, pretty much anything. I feel like put a little et al. At the end of that.
Yeah, sure.
So today we're going to talk about 3 different things. We're going to be talking about what is it, the red flags, how to prevent it. Then we're going to think about things to prevent burnout. And then the last thing is dealing and recovering. And so if you think about it, we're going to most likely, we're all have been there or we're on the verge of it. So just how to deal with it and recover, and just realize it's a thing and that you can overcome it.
I think that is especially important because it's something that a lot of people are going to experience at some point in their life, and to know that you're not stuck. You can heal from that. You can come back from that, and then you don't have to live there.
Right. Yes, no, that's exactly right. And so the first thing we're going to kind of dive into is kind of what is it, the red flags, and kind of ways to prevent it. And I found some good resources. The first one is from Mental Health America. This kind of talked about overfunctioning is kind of how they looked at burnout, and that overfunctioning leads to burnout. And I thought, yeah, because we don't really think about how we get there. We're just like, we're here and we're trying to deal with it. It talks about our culture and how we prioritize productivity versus taking care of yourself. And that's really in all, if you think about, that definition, it's really in all different areas. And so they look at overfunctioning as when we take on responsibilities and tasks, which we've talked about a lot, that's not necessarily ours to take on or complete, or it's beyond our time and our energy and what we really have.
Does that mean that they're not all ours to take on to complete? This is news to me. I'm not sure about this.
I feel seen. I feel seen.
When I read this, I was like, this is really stepping on my toes.
Yeah, it's a little stingy.
I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to take them all on.
Girl, I've told you. But I'm doing the same thing. So apparently I didn't tell me. I was just like, y'all don't do that.
Maybe we're the yes people instead of the no people.
Well, I think for me, and I think for a lot of people, there are certain things that we feel like I'm not allowed to say no to that. Like, oh, that's something I have to say yes to, whether it fits in the time that I have or the ability I have or sometimes the desire that I have. There are some things where it's like, oh, I have to say yes to that. But is the reality like, no, maybe I could say no, not now. This isn't the right time.
Well, and I think even to add on to that, we think we should, But some of them they're good things. So you have this guilt of saying no to this good thing.
Yeah, that makes me think, and I know I've said it in here before, but it is so like true, and it comes up so much. Like somebody I really value and respect said that good things steal from the best things, and that comes up in my head all the time, and it's so true because most of the time, it's not that we're saying yes to things that have no merit or value. There usually are those things that like, oh, that's really good. And I do care about that. And that is valuable either to work or my family or personally. But is saying yes to all the good things keeping me from being able to focus on and accomplish the best things. And that's hard sometimes to really look at and be honest about. But I try to remind myself that when I get myself in a cycle where I'm saying yes too much, which I kind of am at the moment, is how can I take a look at all of the things and figure out what are the best things and keeping room and space for the best things.
Now, that's exactly right, because the article talks about, and I mentioned the overfunctioning, and so it talked that overfunctioning is a common but often overlooked response to stress, where we step in to manage, control, or take responsibility for things that may not truly be ours to handle. So, I mean, that's, it's really what you're saying. And so the article talked about that sometimes when we're faced with challenges, people who overfunction often feel compelled to do more as a way of coping. And I never really thought about it that way. And so it goes on to talk about that you might take on more responsibility at work, constantly offering to help others, or overextend yourself in your personal life as a way to keep running smoothly. And when I read, that's why I'm kind of reading this from it, because I felt like it said it perfectly. I'm so guilty of doing that.
Yeah, almost like if I say no or if I stop moving, I'm gonna hit a wall. So I just got to keep on this pace and like go, keep up with myself. Mm-hmm. Ew.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's really
it's
ew, y'all.
Lot. So
I think I'm just gonna sit and listen. Like. Tell me more, please.
No, because when I found this article, I was like, this is perfect for what we're talking about today. And just thinking about how all of that plays, the burnout, taking on too much, the overfunctioning, that it all plays into it itself. A lot of times we don't take the time to recognize you're on the path to burnout. I'm just look up and I'm there, right? And so these are some red flags that this had and this article kind of talked about. And so the first one is you are never not tired. So you're constantly feeling exhausted. So outside of your physical health, even after a full night's rest. So you're never not tired. That's a sign that you're overfunctioning or burnout's coming. Ding, 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 ding.
I thought it was just because I was in my 40s.
I just thought that's what happened.
We're just supposed to be tired all the time, right?
Well, I just thought full night's rest. What is that? That's what.
Right. I'm like, I feel like you have a reason to be tired.
Right.
Like, so, you're probably not getting a full night's rest right now.
I mean, I haven't in years, but, I have littles, a toddler and a newborn. But thinking about, it triggers, and I'm probably overfunctioning because of it.
Oh, probably. Yeah.
All right, next one. You feel overwhelmed by small tasks. So that's what, like saying I don't get enough sleep. So then all the things feel like they're just large, and that I can't do them. So it talks about finding hard to concentrate. You get easily frustrated. You feel mentally or physically cluttered. You may be spreading yourself too thin.
A phone call, y'all. Seriously, like a phone call. Okay, I can be like, oh, I need to present in front of 200 people. Cool, got you. You need to make a phone call and schedule an appointment. Why? Why do I have to do this? I can't. My world is falling apart. Husband, please rescue me and dial these 7 digits so I can live. Why? I'm not kidding. Like a phone call it's the end. Please listen, doctor's offices, let me text you and you send me when I can come and see you because it'll just make my life easier.
Yes.
I talk to humans all day. all day
Yeah.
and I can't make a phone call.
Yep.
But you know what? That's the truth. It's the small things. It's the little things that you're like, that should have been the easiest thing. Nope. That's the one that'll break me. I'm done.
All right, I think this one may step on some toes. Maybe
Oh,
not.
Again? We're like, look,
yes.
my toes are already
I only got
like,
a couple
hurting.
more. You want to feel in control of the situation or avoid disappointment. So your mindset prevents you from trusting others to help take over, so you end up doing it yourself.
I swear.
When I read this article, I was like, what?
I think it's just like looking into your soul and like pulling it out. Like, how did they already? I mean, like, I'm just
This
blown
is
away.
a rude article.
I'm going home.
Gosh. I mean, come on, Mental Health America. What are you doing to us today?
But I gotta be honest, like, as painful as this is, it's so normalizing. Like,
Oh,
thank
yes.
you, I'm not alone,
Yeah.
and I'm not the only one.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
I mean, that's exactly what I was sitting here thinking. This is an article, so that means that it's just not us.
No,
I mean,
right.
there is so many people in this world that is experiencing this, and this is really good information to know and to have, even though it's like, excuse me, I don't want to hear that, but it's the truth.
It's hard.
It is.
All right.
What else you got for us?
All right, here's our last
we
one.
done?
Here's our last one, and then I have a few little things that aren't going to be probably as hard as these. So the last one, when you're the one constantly doing more, you might start to feel resentful or frustrated with others. You might feel that you are not contributing equally. And it can strain your relationships, create unhealthy dynamics, and then where your others rely on you too.
Would that go in, the category where I had a moment with my kids that are grown, that live in my house, that I work just as hard as they work adult jobs, and the house is dirty, that they need to start pulling their weight? Does that fall in that category?
Yeah, because it's like, if you think about it with kids and or spouses, it's or whomever, you're used to doing, overdoing, it enables them, and they just rely on you to do it, and then eventually you're like, I'm burnt out, I'm done, it's on you. So here's a few more, but it's not from
More, she says.
it's not as bad as this. So, and it's just some different warning signs. So, interruptions of sleep, upset stomach, headaches, you get sick more, you're gaining weight, you have body aches and pains, or just some other signs that burnout could be coming.
I think gaining weight, because I'm a stress eater, and when I am stressed or at that point, I eat more. So I could definitely relate far as with all of that you just said, but definitely the gaining weight part, because I do eat.
I get headaches. I mean, I get headaches anyways, but I can tell. Like, when I'm super tense, it's going to be in my neck, my shoulders, and I'm going to get a headache. And then the one on there, interruptions in sleep, like, that's my husband. Because typically, he's the most laid-back human. He's very go with the flow. And he sleeps, like, better than anyone I know. Like, he can say, I'm going to sleep, and he's asleep. Like, he's done. Like, but when he's stressed, I know it, because I'll wake up in the morning and he'll be like, I woke up at 3 a.m. and I've been up since. And that's when I know, like, something's on his mind. Something is causing him some distress, and he's been up, because that is only when he's feeling overwhelmed.
I've never considered myself a stress eater, but I have recently done a challenge where I have given up potato chips for several days. And the days that I want them the most are those days when I'm overwhelmed and I am stressed. And so I feel like that was a good realization for me that, yeah, I like them all the time, but that has been the hardest when I am stressed. And I also, I get the headaches, I get a stomach ache, all the things.
So those are just some things to think about, like, although, like, the interruption of sleep, some of that stuff might be common, but just thinking, like, if those things are happening, it could be, hey, I'm getting to that overfunctioning, I'm stressed, I'm getting to the burnout stage. And so looking on the horizon, things to do to prevent the burnout. And so I pulled some resources from the Cleveland Clinic and then again the Mental Health America. And we will link these articles in the show notes. So if you want to kind of go back and read them or share them with a friend, we can encourage you to do that. The first one, and we talked a little bit about it, and it's admitting you're burned out. So you can't get better if you don't acknowledge that you're there.
100%. Like, that's everything, though. Like, if we have zero awareness, we're not going to do anything different. We're going to keep going down the same road. So,
right.
You know. Now, I know.
It could be hard.
So now what do I do? Like, I acknowledge too many yeses.
Yeah.
Now what?
Well, and I also think that it would be hard to admit that, depending on your personality, because if you're thinking that you've got to do all of these things, then now you're admitting that you can't do all of the things. And how does that make you feel? I mean, I know how it makes me feel. Doesn't make it true, but I do know how I feel when I'm not accomplishing what I think I need to accomplish. So that, while that seems like a step that's like, well, yeah, you have to do that, I think that would be a hard step.
Well, and I think it's admitting to yourself, but also you may admit it to someone else.
Yeah.
And actually saying it can be a challenge.
Yes. And I think if you rethink the way you think about it too, it makes it a little easier, because if I think I should be, which I hate shoulding, but if I should be doing all of these things, but I can't do it, I don't think it's necessarily saying I can't do these things. It's just I can't realistically do these things in this space of time. Like, I've piled it all up too much altogether, and I can do these things, but maybe I have to say not right now to some of them.
Right. Yeah. Because it talks about like just improving your self-awareness. Right. So just reflecting on why you started taking all this on. Right. So are you driven by fear or failure? You know, really diving in and trying to realize, you know, how did I get here, and admitting that you're actually there. And then another one that seems maybe common sense, putting distance between yourself and your stressors. Right. So, and that is, the article talked about like taking a leave of absence of work. And I'm like, what? I can't do that. But then it says taking a mental health day. We have the benefit with our jobs of having an extra mental health day. And that could be something that you utilize, or taking a child-free time for self-care.
But actually do something for yourself. I think the problem is you're like, I'm taking this day off, and then you end up going like getting groceries or shopping for something the kids need, or taking them somewhere. Like, we do that to ourselves because we think, oh, well, I'll check all this on my list and I'll feel better. But no, I still didn't give myself a time to reset.
And then it talks about focusing on your health. So you're just thinking about, you've been running on empty for a while. It took you a while to get there, right? So thinking about when you're in this, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to rebound overnight, right? So that could be whatever you enjoy to do, cooking your favorite meal or grabbing takeout instead of cooking, right? Whatever's going to relieve that stress, whatever helps you feel like yourself again.
Yeah, and I think, you know, like having those conversations with the people in your house too, like when you know, okay, I'm getting to the point where I've overcommitted, I've over-yesed, there's a lot going on, and letting them know where you're at. I think like, I don't know if it was last week or a couple weeks ago, I called my husband and I was like, hey, are you cool with me just picking up some pizza and bringing it home tonight? Like, I have something at home I can fix, but I'm just a little bit done with the day, and I don't know if I have the energy for that. And he's like, listen, I don't care. I'm not picky. I'm just happy to have food to eat. It doesn't matter where it comes from or how it got here. And I think having those conversations and having the people in your family like give you permission to step back and take a break really makes it so much easier. And I really value that in him, that it was just like, yeah, I don't care. That's cool. Do what you need to do.
I like that you said that, because during our Christmas holiday season and that, I was off and my husband was off as well. And I just I usually try to cook when he's at home because he's not home a lot because of work. And I just told him, I said, listen, I know that you're used to me cooking all the time, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to tell you straight up, I'm not going to stay in the kitchen the whole entire time that I'm on vacation. So I set that goal. I already set that out before the week had even started. And he was like, oh, absolutely. I don't want you in there anyway. So, he didn't expect me to be there, but I put that expectation that I thought I should be there. Mm-hmm. But I thought, I'm not. I mentally just needed a break from everything. And that was one of the things I needed to not stress about is cooking all the time.
See, I love that. And when we're honest, our people are supportive.
Yeah, because one of the things is tell people what you need. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was funny. It said, for better or worse, be honest. People can't read your mind.
True. Yes.
What? Wait a second.
I know.
No.
I don't believe that. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
But that really plays into tell them what you need, admit it, and communicate it.
You can't expect people to read your mind. And I think sometimes I know that I do that. Like, I've got it in my head, and I think back to my birthday a couple of months ago, and I was actually really proud of myself for this, but there was a bigger gift that I was like, I want this. I'm going to get this. Like, this is what I'm going to do for myself. Don't worry about giving me a present. I said this to my husband. And then I thought about it for like less than 5 minutes. And I was like, let me take that back, because yes, I want this thing. I'm going to go do this. But I want you to surprise me with a gift. So in my head, I'm going to be let down when you don't give me a gift, even though I have already said, I'm doing this. Don't worry about giving me a gift, because that is false. I need a gift. So let's set a budget. You get me a gift. I'll get you a small gift. You go do what you want. Our birthdays are 1 day apart. So you go do what you want for your birthday. I'll do what I want for my birthday. But I need a present. And he's not a gift person. Like, he would not care if I did not get him a gift. But I was like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to set a little budget. Get me a gift. And I'm not going to send you a link and tell you what to get me. So if you need some ideas, talk to the oldest. I'll tell her some things. He did excellent. But had I just not told him that, do you know how disappointed I would have been if he did not surprise me with a small gift? Very. And whose fault would have that been? That would have been on me. I could not blame him for that, but
I'm very proud of you for that.
I'm proud of me too.
I'm very proud
of me too, because I was like, no, false. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think just recognizing and communicating is really key, and we talked about that, a lot. Another thing is suggested is monitoring your stress, or like what triggers you. And it talked about journaling and, just different ways that you can be like, hey, that triggered me. I need just write it down. And that way you can kind of keep track of what it is that causes that extra stress, or maybe write down every time you say yes to agree to anything, and then be like, once you go back, I could have not done that. Right.
And I think typically those are the places that we probably are lacking or need to reevaluate a boundary, because I think our boundaries really do help us from burning out. They don't completely protect us from that, because again, sometimes we're just saying yes to too many good things, but sometimes it's like, that's not something that's good for me. I know that when that's in my life, I'm going to be in a mood and I'm going to be overwhelmed, and it's going to affect relationships. And I think we have to have that awareness, and then saying like, that's not good for me or anyone around me.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because everything that I've read is just boundaries, setting boundaries, recognizing, maybe there's boundaries you set and you kind of laxed on them, or different things like that. Just setting those boundaries. So we actually even have a episode on boundaries. If you want to revisit that, we'll put it in the show notes, and that'll dive deeper into helping you set boundaries and the different ways that can be done. So some other things which could seem like normal, but just thinking about eating a healthy diet, making time for exercise, your sleeping habits, just different things like that. And one of the ones that I kind of was like, you know what, I can do this. And I think Ashley has kind of talked about this, something that she's been doing. Do things that make you happy. And even if it's 15 minutes or 10 minutes on your lunch break or early in the morning, whatever that is, that can kind of help alleviate some of that and get that stress out or that anxiety out on whatever it is that makes that happen for you.
Yeah, it's that self-care, because when I'm burnt out, it means I'm giving everything of me to someone or something else, and there's nothing left for me. And even 10 minutes a day of something for you, even if it's just quiet time, like I'm going to lock myself in my bedroom and not talk to anybody for 10 minutes, it makes an impact. Clearly, the more, that's great, but it doesn't have to be something extravagant or take, an hour of your day, but just knowing I need to do something that fuels me.
Exactly. I think we've kind of tied the two together, dealing with it and then preventing it. Continuing on with that, I found a good article by Michigan State University, and it talked about tips on kind of dealing with different things. So for physical exhaustion, it says include physical activity, healthy eating, right? So we just kind of talked about that. Just work to improve your sleep, and squeezing in mindful moments throughout your day. Now, that's something I don't do a lot, and I know there's like some apps and different things that you can use, but it just said kind of stop, just breathe in, breathe out, just taking that time to block everything out. And so it talked about if you're feeling detached, reach out to your family and friends, to maintain those much needed support systems. And that again plays into admitting your burnout, communication, just making sure that you're keeping that up to date. And we are actually going to talk a little bit about that on another episode. So
Connections
stay
are
tuned.
key.
That is exactly right. And it kind of talked about if you can visit people, you can text people. So even if it's, you're going to FaceTime somebody, it doesn't have to be you go to somebody's house and you sit there for hours on end that you may or may not have. It could just be a text message, a chat with somebody. Just work on building those relationships, even if it's some that maybe you kind of let lapse. It could just be rebuilding that. That may re-energize you and help you feel a little bit better.
I think too, one thing that I think is really helpful is the process of planning breaks can also make you feel some relief, because it's like, oh, I have something to anticipate, to look forward to. So whether it's a staycation or a mental health day or a full vacation somewhere else, I think putting those on our calendar and beginning the process of planning those things, having those that we can anticipate coming, those breaks coming, kind of gives us that push that we can get over that hump, and we know like, okay, there's something coming for me where I'm gonna take a total break away from all of this. So I think even if you feel like you can't be away from work often, or you can't be away from the day-to-day commitments often, like just having that on the books coming that you can look forward to and that you can take time to like plan and be excited about and be encouraged by, I think that can help as well. Is like not even just the moment, but the whole lead up to it gives us kind of that boost.
I agree. And I'm glad you said that. And it kind of ties into what it kind of suggests next, and it's our last thing. But it also ties into your goal that you had set that we kind of talked about previously. And it's something that I've kind of really been trying to work on. And it kind of focuses on if you have children in the home. But if you're a parent, shift your focus on the enjoyment of the moments of being with your kids, just laughing, being silly. It could be cuddling, just developing those family memories at home. So it may not be that you go get a massage or you have an hour to do whatever it is that that could be that for you, that outlet. It could just be looking at what you have, where you're at, and what season you're in, and just embracing those moments.
Yeah, enjoying the stage you're in, and also carving out time. I think the hard part when you have the kids in the home and you're really in the thick of raising them, they're maybe maybe some are independent, but you're still having to do a lot of things. For a lot of them, you can feel overwhelmed with not thinking you have time to spend time with your spouse or alone or any of those things. It's all kids' activities. But I think if you can find that middle ground and mix it up where you're able to do both. And just like an example, real recent for us is we had a snow day a couple weeks ago, and it was nice snow that you could actually get out in and have a good time. And so it was such a beautiful day. Like, it was really encouraging to me. And I told my husband, like, I just loved today. Today was so nice because we went outside as a family, and my kids are like 16, 13, 8. We're like spanning the gap of all the ages and the experiences right now. But we all got to go outside together, and the kids got to go sledding. My husband pulled them behind the four-wheeler on the sled, and they took turns and they rode together, and it was fun. Our dogs were out there, and I'm taking pictures and videotaping. They're doing snowballs, and my youngest got to build a snowman, and it was so fun. But then they were like, oh, we're cold, we're going in. So they went in to kind of thought, and my husband and I just spent the next like 45 minutes riding around the farm on the four-wheeler, just the two of us, enjoying seeing the scenery and having some quiet time and just enjoying each other. And it was so nice to have that mix of all of us and enjoying the kids and doing those things, and then having a moment, the two of us as well. And so being able to find those ways that you can ebb and flow and enjoy all of the stages and all of the people that you're with.
I think that we've really covered a lot today, and I hope that you all have maybe learned something new, maybe realized something like we did, maybe finally admitting some things that we didn't want to actually admit. But I hope that it helps you either prevent yourself from burnout, maybe recognizing that you're heading towards burnout, or just ways to recover from burnout. Because it's easy for all of us, and we've talked about it, to fall into that over-functioning that we talked about at the beginning trap. We put ourselves, but hopefully, after today, you can listen to it, learn something. And again, we're going to put all these things we talked about today, even our episode about boundaries, in our show notes. So go back, revisit, listen to that if you haven't. Also, there's a link that we'll add, and it's a stress screener, and it's a test that's on Mental Health America. So in case, you just need to revisit that to go through it. Even you're like, of course I know when I'm stressed, but maybe you don't. Maybe you're on the verge, and you're just, again, like we talked about, just recognizing, listening to your body, and just being able to identify that. So thank you all so much for joining us today. As we've mentioned plenty of times, and we help us share our podcast. So you can share your favorite episode on your social media, share our page either on Facebook or Instagram, rate, review our podcast. We're always looking for your feedback, so feel free to share that as well. Thank you so much for listening. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.